It's 7 p.m. and you know what time it is. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
Good evening, guys. Welcome to another show of Playing the Field with Chicks. I tell you, my team works hard. They work really hard. They came to me and they said, hey, bro, let's go. Let's travel. I said, where are we going? They're like, we're going to go speak to a FIFA-accredited agent. I said, no ways, really? And we had it all recorded. Hey, what's up, guys? Shake Somebody here. It's another episode and another interview, and I'm excited about this one because we've got the director and the owner of QT Sports and someone that I highly respect. Basia Michaels, how you doing?
Hey, Shakes, I'm well and you.
Thank you for inviting us into your space, man. Like, it really feels good.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for actually literally taking the time out to come to me because I could not come to you. I'm so sorry.
So I actually sit down and I think to myself, how does someone as a candidate attorney get into football? How does that story work out?
So I'm an admitted attorney. I literally did all the do's. I got to the end goal of it all.
Yeah?
And then the football thing came about.
I see.
Yeah. Took that opportunity. I had to negotiate a contract for a friend. I played football for UJ.
Okay.
And a friend of mine sent me a contract for a football club in Cape Town. And they were like, can you have a look at this? And I was like, okay, cool. And I looked at it and I was like, so I want to change a few things, you know? And he was like, oh, let me give you the guy's number. And he gave me a general manager's number. And then lo and behold, to my surprise, the contract was standardized. The only thing that you can change is the schedule.
Were you not happy with what you saw?
Not necessarily not happy. I just wanted to tidy up a few things. Don't forget that I was young, naive, fresh out of doing everything right, being admitted. Yeah. And I just wanted to do things a certain way, and I wanted it to look a certain style, and I wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing, and. But that wasn't how it functioned. It was, this is the annexure. You can work on this if you want to. So it kind of just brought me into the football world.
So eventually you do your first contract, and then from then on, does the passion grow? And then you're like, I need to do a lot more of these contracts.
Yeah, I think the passion grows from the fact that, so then a dismissal came in, and it was an unfair dismissal, and I was given the one. But there were a group of them that got unfairly dismissed, and then it became one client that brought another client that brought the third and fourth, and I did that. It went to the DRC, and you win those. So it literally starts snowballing, but then I've defended 4 people from one club that were unfairly dismissed at the end of the season. And then the one guy says, so can you find me a job? And I'm like, okay, I watch football, so let's see how we can do this.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got Shane Thompson his first job. It was Tata Bucks back then. I got Jose Garcia the opportunity with Barocca. And it just literally then started moving one after the next after the next.
So you say Tata Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been at this for a while. How long have you been at this?
About 9 years now.
9 years in?
About 9 years. The first 2 years I wouldn't really call official, but about 9 years,
Fair enough. Then you move into a space where you create your own agency now. And then you now got all these players on. How many players do you have? Like I saw on your website, you had about over 20 players. I know you also have coaches as well under the ranks as well.
Yeah. I can't give you an official number. It's illegal to say it out loud.
Okay, fair enough. I'm talking about what I saw on the website.
Sure. But I don't officially start my own agency.
I see.
I must put that out there. I think many people know. QT Sports was actually known as a company called Quality Talent Sports CC, owned by Tim Sugazi.
I see.
So I have a client that I then want to represent, and I give Tim a call. I say to him, hi, how are you? This is a client that I have. This is the opportunity that's come to me. Please, could you help me out?
Yeah.
He says, let's have a meeting. And I literally have a meeting with him. We have conversations. And he guides me on, do it this way, don't do it this way, do it this way, don't do it this way.
See.
And gives me 10 minutes of his time and literally, cool, next, you know? And I do as he says, we move forward. And then he gives me a call like 2 weeks later. He's like, can you do something for me? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I need you to go to Polokwane.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. He gives me a player, says, this is the deal. It's done, this, that, and the other. Once again, Basha thinks she knows everything a lot better, and I want to do things differently.
Yeah.
And I get to the other side, kind of mess it up, but fix it up at the same time.
Okay.
I then come back with a different deal, and I'm like, oh, by the way, this is what I've done. And he's just like, so you can do this thing? And I'm like, yeah, I can. And then I start slowly working on the things that Tim gives me to do. And we go around from there, left, right, back and forth. And 2 years later, he buys a football club.
Amazing.
Yeah. So when he buys the football club, we have a conversation. I say to him, can we do a deal? He says to me, oh, I have someone that wants to buy the agency. And I'm like, yeah, I can imagine, but can we do a deal? Give me a chance. And somehow we create a structure that makes sense for both of us in terms of getting us to the end goal of me owning QT Sports. And that's why I then call it QT Sports, which is PTY Ltd. So it's two separate arms, but the same trademark, the same goodwill, clients under the same banner, and we go from there.
I mean, Tim Scars is quite a guy because we actually had him on our show as well. He was one of our guests. He's one of the nicest guys I've probably seen. He's very open with regards to sharing information. I wanted to ask with regards to this time of the year, because it's like an amazing time, right?
Sure.
But is it your favorite time? Because we like to do videos and content pieces and talk about players and transfers. Do you like this time of the year?
It's an important time. I can't really say I like it or I don't like it, but it's an important time, and it's a time that has to unfold.
Yeah.
It comes with a lot of work that you already have to start putting into motion months before. It's not something that you stumble across. People have this amazing perception. They say, oh, you only work for 3 months of the year. And I'm like, great, lovely that you think that, but there's a lot of work that goes into the very next day after the window closes, and getting you to then the very next window that opens in January, and thereafter that window closes, and then the very next window that opens on the 1st of July, you know? So the only thing I can comfortably tell you that I don't like about this time is the silliness that goes on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it's also detrimental to people's mental health.
I see.
You know, and you have to be very strong-willed to be able to deal with a lot of the difficulties that come with this time of the year. There's no question about how tough it is.
There was actually like talk on radio and all these platforms about players that get to find out at the very last minute, or maybe even the last day or a couple of days, that they won't be renewing their contracts. And some of them go in 6 months where it's about to expire, but they don't get told. And I'm sure that also must have an effect on how the player's going to go, where they're going to get their next paycheck. I'm sure that must also play a role with regards to their mental psyche.
Sure, it does. There's no question about how difficult this time of the year is for footballers. There's no question about the turmoil that it causes amongst them, their families, their livelihood, you know, which is why it does require a certain amount of TLC for as far as you possibly can, for as far as all clubs possibly can, you know. But also there's then the tough and harsh reality that by law, the contract ends 30 June. Yes, you might have an option on it, which means that they have the option, but your option exercise date should have already been pre-negotiated so that you can know, let's say no later than X date that this is what's going to happen. But if it's on the very last day, if you've left it too late, you know, I know for a fact that none of my contracts have a late option exercise date.
I see.
But in that, it doesn't change the fact that we do a lot of work behind the scenes, even if there is an option.
I see.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
So even if there's an option, there's still legwork that's being done.
There has to be. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the contract expires as of 30 June 2024.
I see.
Yes, there is an option. When the option is taken up, I call Shakes and I say, hey, Shakes, hey, they took your option. We're great. We're good to go. But if your option is not taken, I call Shakes and say, look, the opportunities that we found are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's start exploring that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Would you say the onus is on the agent to make sure that even if there's an option, that something must be done? Because some of them actually wait, and there was even an agent as well that admitted to the fact that maybe they should have done some legwork in the coming months to when the contract was going to expire.
It depends on the relationship.
With the club?
With the club.
I see.
I'm not going to stand here and say that agent should have or shouldn't have. What I'm going to say is it depends on the relationship. And unfortunately, sometimes situations explain themselves.
I see.
You know, you can look at it and you can see that, okay, fine, there's 30 games, my client has played 5. Or there's 30 games and my client has played 27.
I see.
Those kinds of things are they're very telltale signs.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at it and say, what do I do next?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But you have to put yourself in a position, me personally, Basia, not anybody else. My thing is the contract, hard and fast, does end on the 30th of June. And you start working behind the scenes. And that's why I say to you, this job is not a 3-month job.
Yeah.
This job is not something that we do on the 1st of July and on the 20th of September. I'm like, great. No, it's literally work throughout, because you're sitting in February and you're like, but my client's contract ends. Can I find him a job? And you start having various
I
negotiations
see.
because it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because I've also found myself in a situation where the club had an option,
Yeah.
and I was told, had a conversation with another club, and it's like, Basha, why are you workshopping our player? I'm workshopping the player because there's an option.
Yeah.
If you exercise the option now, then we can take
Then
a
we're
step
good.
back from workshopping.
Exactly.
But if you don't exercise the option, I can't get caught with my pants down.
I see. You had us as football fans, we actually watch everything that happens on social media. You had a back and forth with a publication. And the publication, I think, was speaking about one of your players being linked to a couple of clubs. And eventually turned into a thing where you were sort of speaking about you don't know how much this hits home with regards to players and the mental health. And some of us just look back and be like, but it's just links and interest and all that stuff. How much of a role does media play in terms of linking players to particular clubs and conversations that haven't been had? Does that have a big role to play?
It does.
Really?
It has a massive role to play.
So a player will pick up the phone and be like, oh, I'm linked to like 5 clubs.
It's not even the player that picks up the phone.
I see.
It's all the texts that come from your sister that you support, your mother that you support, your cousin that you pay school fees for, and their concern is you're going on loan. And the thing, let me tell you something very basic about what happened.
Yeah.
Is don't speak about it with a lot of confidence.
I see.
You can't say X club considers.
I see.
You can't do that. Because now you are saying, you've had a conversation with these people, and this is tentatively what they are saying. You could turn around and say, X club, based on the fact that Y player didn't play this amount of games, and we have Z number of defenders, would be possibly sent out on loan.
I see.
I've had links all across.
Yeah.
All across.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, because I've had journalists that call me. I take the call when I can, and if I can't, I send me a text.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Purely on the premise that I feel like this time of the year has so much going on for people, right? That the smallest thing trigger the biggest outcome.
Should the media have more responsibility in terms of what they put out?
Definitely, there's no question about that. And you have to. My thing is, I could even go as far as saying, show me your source.
I see.
Show me your source, and let's have that conversation. You know, whereas it's not just I'm picking up something, looking at it. Okay, great, let's run with it. Because, like I say, Shakes, it's not. I'm not worried about the public.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the perception. I'm worried about the fact that you, as a man that feeds 5 different people, all 5 of them look at something like that and they're like, oh my God, this is our livelihood. And then they panic because they're bound to panic. And then that panic sets into the player. And now the player is just like, but Basha, you didn't tell me about this. And I'm like, but this was not a conversation that was had. Hold on.
Yeah.
What am I telling you about when this was not a conversation that was had?
I see.
And that's why I'm saying it's about how you deliver the message. I don't mind, trust me, Shakes, I'm saying this again, guys, I do not mind links. I don't mind transfer rumors. I don't mind my him. I'm here for it. The gossip is great. I love it. It's juicy.
Yeah.
But when you speak with a lot of authority,
I see.
Then I have an issue.
I see. And when these publications do this, do you have a conversation with them? Or do you just...
The people that I really think I have conversations with are people that put me, if I can say, in their line of sight.
I see.
You know, because like people open up to me on some, hi Basha, how are you? This is what I've heard.
Yeah.
And I can comfortably say, thumbs up, hey, but I'm not getting involved in it. Or actually, that's not true. You know, because it's very important. It's very important for us to educate people about players' mental health.
I see.
You know, we sit there and we look at all these amazing Daily Alley videos and
what's happening in England as well.
You look at it and let's bring it straight back home.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Lyle Foster that had his own problems.
Yeah.
So what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for a documentary where we turn around and we're like, oh, but our South African players are also human. Excuse, guys. Sorry, we were just hrapping. It was just a joke.
I see.
That's not cool.
So even us on social media, we have to have a responsibility as well in terms of how we speak.
And look, I'm saying to you, as a fan, I don't hold you accountable for anything.
Yeah.
But as a football publication, we roam within the same circles. We are people within the same industry.
Yeah.
Let's have that respect for each other.
I see. I mean, you'd call me out if I said something, right?
Of course.
Please.
Easily. You know? And it's not a choice of who I'm calling out versus who I'm not calling out.
Yeah.
Because ask Mazola, ask Lawrence,
Yeah.
you know, ask Makongo, ask Benjamin, you
Tell
know,
them
ask
more.
Gracia. I don't play that game when I'm just like, but what's this about?
Yeah.
You know, because you can easily pick up the phone and say, hi Basha, how are you? This is what we've heard. You don't have to tell me where you've heard it from, but this is what we've heard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you're right, guys, I'm the quickest person to turn around and say,
Just
cool,
hang
sharp.
in there.
Just handle it nicely, please. Let's not make it unnecessary. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I know a number of people so-called knew about Vincent's termination. And I was like, okay. But lovely for me, and the way that Pirates managed it and the way that they handled it, they were the first to announce it.
Yeah.
Great. And we go from there. But it doesn't change the fact that he knew about it. When all the rumors started about it, it was something that he knew about because it was a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't something that just picked up out of nowhere and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm taken aback by it.
Yeah.
No, you're not taken aback by it because we've worked through the process of getting it done one step after another. And then it was handled professionally.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of it, not it going out and all that. I wanted to ask this. Not only are you a agent per se, FIFA accredited agent, you do watch football. Are you a fan of football as well?
Yeah, I love football.
Massively. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask this because it was a big breaking news that happened last week.
Okay.
Wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Rhulani Mokwena leaving Mamelodi Sundowns. Were you surprised by that or not?
Extremely surprised.
Really?
Extremely surprised.
Why were you surprised? Because some people would say he didn't win the CAF Champions League, and some people would say, but he almost went unbeaten. Where do you sit on the fence?
I think people that know me,
Yeah?
that know the inside of Basha,
Yeah?
I am a Rhulani fan.
I see.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
He's young.
Yeah.
He's black. He's handsome. He's all of those amazing things
Exclusive.
put in one.
That's an exclusive.
But he's a football man.
Yeah.
There's no question about the fact that Rhulani is somebody that we can all take lessons from.
Yes.
He's a football man through and through. And you win coach of the season.
Yeah.
And then you get fired. It does leave one very surprised. But then on the flip side of that, it then shows you the stature or the winning level that Sundowns want to associate themselves with.
Yeah.
Not saying that Rhulani failed at that.
I see.
I'm saying in him not being able to achieve what the club had ultimately set out to achieve in terms of their targets. And he hasn't achieved that. It then shows us that Sundowns, literally, the people at the top know that they want to go for everything.
Yes.
And that doing that and putting that indication out and putting that sign out to whoever comes next now has to understand that you can't just win the AFL. You can't just win the league. You literally have to start going for everything else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that for me is a great thing for South African football because now we're saying that we have a bar and that's our bar and we want to stick to that bar. I'm not saying what Rhulani did was an underachievement of that bar.
Yeah.
I think winning the first inaugural AFL is truly an amazing thing.
Yeah.
He's a football man through and through. He understands what the game requires. He doesn't sleep. He puts all the time into his work. And we could all learn about working our crafts in that manner. But take nothing away from Sundowns and the fact that they are saying that we want to be dominant and constantly dominant each and every single season. That's a big thing.
So you understand that decision?
I do.
You understand it?
I do. Like I'm saying, shocked by it.
Yeah.
Very shocked by it. But I understand what Sundowns is working towards achieving. There's no question about it. They are saying that the bar is at X level and you have to meet it at X+2 all the time. That is what they want. And the next person that walks into Sundowns has to understand that.
Yeah. And from your side of things, how much of a headache is it that the fact that he signs a 4-year deal last season and then suddenly he has to go? Because I'm sure you, as an agent, you'd be involved in sort of that situation. What happens with that? Is it a compensation that is paid for like the remaining 3 years? Was it a particular period or agreed between the club and the coach?
So let me give you the basis just on something that I've experienced.
Yeah.
I had a coach coaching a PSL team. He was given a target. Targets were X.
Yeah.
And X targets were not met. It was these were your targets. You didn't meet the targets. This is the poor performance of that. Thank you very much. You had agreed.
Wow.
You know? But then fast forward to maybe Botu, Babatu, and you can turn around and say that it could have been negotiated, that X amount is taken as a settlement or whatever the figures are. Then you create that balance. But you step into a contract of employment, even with PSL players. You step into a contract of employment and it's written there. It's like you get 1 month payout for misconduct. You get X amount of it's there. It's done. It's agreed.
Yeah.
You know, because my labor law lecturer always used to say this: no one starts an employment relationship with an automatic end in mind.
I see.
We know where we want to get to. We know that we're saying 4 years from now, yeah, it's a 4-year contract. Thank you very much. But we've put the terms of your contract in. We've put the performance targets of your contract in there. And when you don't reach these targets, this is the outcome. And you're well aware of it. So when you sign that contract on day one of the employment relationship commencing, you will then know that if I don't reach X target by Y date, this is it.
I see. There was also a tweet that you put out that I looked at it, I read it a number of times. I couldn't decipher it. Then I thought, hey, I want to see Basia, right? So let me just ask her. You know, so I'm going to just read it out. If basically, so this is from @AsiaB2. I still have to ask you, why is it AsiaB2, by the way? Some aspects of what's happening now in our football make you realize that fairness operates in its own spectrum. But on the flip side, knowing some insider secrets, the wheels of justice turn slowly. But when they turn, they squeeze. Tweeted on the 4th of July, which was my birthday. And I was curious to figure out, what did she mean by this?
Happy belated birthday. Let's start there.
Thank you so much.
2, I'm very philosophical, I guess. The older I've gotten, I struggle with old age now. So the older I've gotten, I've started like opening up a few things. I can tell you something about football, and probably the best thing about life is football doesn't have a fairness.
I see.
There's no fairness in football. It's got its own. Football has its own way of life. Yeah. Its own way of breathing. It's
ruthless?
Not necessarily. So let me give you the basics of, like anything in life, and it's just conversations that I have with really important people. And one of the things that Mpumi always says to me, Chairman Khoza, he says to me, Basha, this thing is what you make of it. Yeah. So if I give you the little bit that I give you and you decide to blow up the little bit that I've given you and you make the most out of it, it's what I've given you. You know, so you have to make the most of what you get. I've given you. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the same thing with football. When football gives you that big contract, it gives you that lovely signing on fee, the great amount of money, you have to take that and turn it into something that would last you X amount of years. Yeah. Do you understand? But when football gives you the other side of it, that it wasn't initially giving to you, because it gave you the good side. Yeah. Right? And now that it gives you the bad side, you can't turn around and say, I hate football.
I see.
You know, because when it was working for you, and you were loving everything, and it was all great, and you were the it, and we go and we go and we go and we go, you were on top of the world. Yeah. But the minute it doesn't give you what you feel you deserve, you can't turn your back on football.
Interesting. Wow. Got a few questions that is left.
Okay.
Tell me something. Now that Rhulani is gone, I've seen social media speaking, and some people have been saying that, okay, Rhulani is gone, he's left normally, Sunouts, Nabi's come in, there's transfer that's happening, Cape Town City is busy as well. Are we finally going to have a competitive DSTV Premiership? Because us, we don't like to see 23 points between first and second. Is it finally going to be competitive from what you're seeing, from maybe potential moves that you're seeing as well?
The one thing I love about the start of any window or the start of any season, my dad is an Orlando Pirates supporter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is an Orlando Pirates supporter through and through, and every year he's just like, yeah.
This is the year,
and I'm like, yeah, and he's yeah. Every year he's just, and come game 10, he's just like, but what? And I'm like, no, my guy, you were optimistic. You had the hope,
Where's
and it's great. And that's the one thing that I love about the start.
I see.
You know?
I see.
Because unfortunately, when everything starts the way it starts, we can never tell the end.
I see.
I don't know who Sundowns has signed.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the signings they've made. I don't know who Chiefs has signed. I haven't seen the signings they've made.
Yeah.
Pirates have been very open with the signings they've made. I've done a number of negotiations with them.
Yeah.
And Cape Town City's been really, really great in the market.
They've been fast.
They've been very good, you know. And the one thing that I can tell you about Chairman Committees is he did a lot of this a long time ago.
Really? All these names that we're seeing now?
He did a lot of it a long time ago. Like I look at a lot of the things that he does and I'm just like,
he's quick.
Yeah, that's very, very smooth. That is very smooth, you know. Him and his son are doing an amazing job. So we literally have to just look at it and say, great.
Yeah.
I can tell you about a million other people that are doing great jobs. I must also just, you know, say that. But the start of the window always comes with hope.
There's hope, yes.
Yeah.
As usual.
Yeah. So I can't tell you whether it will be competitive. We always want it to be competitive. We saw the league or death signs.
And that got taken away real quickly.
Yeah, you know, but I also think that we need to be mindful of how things work.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that the window is closing on the 20th of September is a very, very, it's a big win for for clubs with money. It's a big win for clubs with money, you know. Coach Steve Barker lamented the fact last season that the window took so long to close because he then had to lose Ox.
A key player.
A very key player to him, you know. It at least gave Sihle Nduli the rise to be able to get to that level because Sihle is well enough. Like he's good enough. He's got more than enough to compete with somebody like Ox, but Ox was a fan favorite, loved, and he did what needed to be done for Stellenbosch at that point in time. So the fact that the window closes so late allows clubs with the buying power to watch the first 6 fixtures.
I see.
And then turn around and say,
no, that one.
I want that one, that one. And then,
So basically, you're trying to tell me that you're only going to get busier after the first fixture till the end of the transfer window.
Look, I said to you, this time comes with a lot of craziness.
Yeah.
I can't tell you about my busyness aspect or spectrum from now to when. But it, like, the window closing late does open up a lot of room for movement, especially because the games are set to start around the 2nd or the 5th of August. You know, from then to the 20th of September should give about 6 or 7 good fixtures played, with the MTN first leg or first round of MTN fixtures played. And looking at somebody you mentioned, Coach Nabi, if Coach Nabi comes into the spectrum, looks at it and in 6 fixtures sees something that he likes and he's like, hold on, I like that player, bring that one here. It's doable because he is now opening up his eyes to what the league actually has.
I see.
And if he's not happy with what he has, no disrespect to anybody at Chiefs, but if he's not happy with what he has, he could turn around and say, oh, but I like that and I watched it for 3 weeks. I like that and I saw it for 2 weeks. And
is it Chiefs' fault though, because he just came in now, right? He was only announced as an official head coach recently. Mm-hmm. Is it their fault, the fact that, I mean, if he decides that I want new players, but they brought him in late as well?
I wouldn't say they brought him in late. Football works.
So you think this is enough time before the season starts? I mean, we're like a month and a bit before the season starts, no?
I can tell you that the people around him have done good enough research.
I see.
The players, he's not, when he met the players beat yesterday when it was announced, that wasn't the first he'd seen of the players.
I see.
That, let's not be fooled by that. He's
clearly been,
besides his assistant, just on his own.
Oh, you think he's seen it before?
No, he's definitely been given footage and everything else that needed to be given to him to get him to this point.
I see.
You know, so he's done a lot of research. He's put himself in a position where he's and the same thing will happen with whoever Sundowns hires. Yeah. Whoever Sundowns hires will get footage of games on games on games on games on games of this is how things will be done, or this is what we want to do, this is the playing style we're trying to create, and these are the players you have. And you have to work with that because you're seeing it based on almost like not an interview per se, but an interview where you're like, oh, okay, cool. That nobody knew that they were actually being interviewed, but
Yeah.
they were playing, and it's their natural style of play, and this is how they're doing, and you go in from there. You know, that's where Pirates has the upper hand.
Yeah.
You know, because the coach that they have is somebody who has stayed within the frame. Cape Town City also, they have, you know, Coach Siad also, he's got his own team. He knows Coach Gavin, Coach Steve. It's a continuation. And generally, I'm not saying a new broom sweeps clean, but generally when you have fresh ideas, the transformation is different. Also, players want to impress new coaches all the time. But then with the coaches that I've mentioned and the clubs that I've mentioned and everybody else around them and all the other clubs throughout the DStv Premiership, you know, even somebody like Coach Gopo, they know what they have, they know what they want, and then it's easier for you to go out and say, well, this is what I can do and this is what I can't do and this is what I'm taking from that.
I see.
You know?
Now, before I jump on to the next one, quick one, just yes or no. Will there be 23 points between first and second this season? Confidently.
Confidently.
You heard that, right?
Yeah.
Great. And then the remaining two questions I have, I mean, for what you do, for the industry that you're in, it's a male-dominated industry as well. For women that are trying to get into the space, I mean, what would be the advice? Because you've done it for such a very long time. And I would like to think it's not easy. And as well as I'm sure as being a Black woman as well, having to be in the space, what would be the advice that you would give for women trying to be within the space?
My advice wouldn't just go out to women. Let me be honest with you. My advice would go out to anybody who wants to be an agent. I
see.
I tell you comfortably, it's not as glamorous as it looks.
Really?
No.
You meet players?
No.
You go to parties?
No.
You meet chairmen?
Do you know how hard that is? You know, I would trade the parties for a well-cooked home dinner and staying, playing cards, doing the night. Like
I see.
It's and I'll say it again, it's not as glamorous as it looks.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in the right space and you put yourself in the right space and you're doing it for the right reasons, I would then encourage you to do it. Because don't forget, we hold a lot of people's lives within our hands.
Yeah.
You know? And people that don't know what to do or what decisions to make. And they don't know what to do with their money, and they also don't know what to do with the fame, and that on its own is a very difficult space to be in.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for the glitz and the glam and the prettiness and the flying, and don't do it, because that is 10% of it. It's the surface level work of it. The hard stuff comes with getting a phone call and something's happened to your client, you know, getting a phone call that your client's been hijacked and he's put in a boot, and now you need to find him, and now you need to call his girlfriend, or you need to call his wife, and then it's someone's little sister who's passed away, you know, or it's someone's father or someone's mother, because that's what you have to show up for. The nice things are nice, you know, when they get married and when they have kids and the happiness, and those are the nice things, because those are the pretty things that kind of just make your heart smile when you see people that you care about succeed. Yeah. Right? But when the difficult things happen, that's where you have to step up. That's where the real crux of this job is being able to console somebody who loses a parent. Yeah. You know, or console somebody who loses a little sister, and say to them, okay, cool, I know you're not okay, I know you're not fine, but you really need to get up and do what needs to be done, and you have to go to work tomorrow, unfortunately, because you're playing on Friday, and because life is just so hard that footballers carry on even with the difficulty. Yeah. And then they can't really show it, because now you get onto that field and you have to do that for 90 minutes. But then some players, literally, you get off the field and walk into the change room and burst into tears. I see. It's not an easy space to belong, you know, because life happens simultaneously. But what happens in life that's not shown where you're on the field is the difficult part of it. I see. So my advice would not be for just females. My advice would be for anybody who wants to come into the spaces. I welcome people that want to come into the space to make a difference and make it better, and put other people's lives first. Then do it by all means. You know, as tough as it is, it's got certain levels that are gratifying and it's great, you know. But if you're coming here for the wrong reasons, don't do it.
Wow, you've just led me on to the last question in the best way possible. I always ask my guests this question at the end of every interview. Where is South African football for you right now?
As a fan, I love the space that we're in.
Okay.
I absolutely do. Like, I love the Chipper United announcements, and it's like, oh, you're trying to do what they did, and they doing that, and then Cape Town City bring a helicopter and they're announcing Hashim, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is doing like all these great
all these
things.
clubs are flying internationally as well, for pre-season, I guess.
And that's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
You know, because it is for the growth and the greatness of South African football. I mean, this is the second year in a row that Pirates are going to Spain. TS Galaxy went to Turkey.
Yeah.
Chiefs has now gone to Turkey. And Chiefs have just recently announced that Toyota Cup that's going to be playing in Bloem against Yanga. Those, Tim, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, President Sugazi announced the German.
Wait, they bring Augsburg is coming in.
Yes.
Yes.
So you and Cape Town City as well as Stellenbosch were bringing in that German club that was also coming to.
Amazing.
Those things are great because they open up the spectrum of the cocoon that we live in. I mean, if you look at African football, we are the diamond walk of African football, which is really great, you know. And as a fan, it's beautiful to see. It's lovely to watch. It's like, you know, I know that my player is going to be has signed with Club Y. And then the next thing my players announced, and I'm like, that video's fire.
It's amazing.
And you're just like, oh, but I did it. Okay, sorry. And you just come back.
Oh, you have to come back to it.
I'm like, but that's so cool. And you literally just like, you know, and I'm loving it. You know, I'm loving the spice. I'm loving the transfer gossip. I really am.
You're loving the whole thing that's happening.
Holistically, right now, this is almost like building up to an amazing episode of The River where Lindiwe is just going to kill everybody and Madlavantu's just going to do what she does, which is great because it's creating the hype. You know, and the PSL is selling the right product. There's no question about it. The product is very lovely to consume.
It is.
It really is. I'm sure even when the CAF president looks at what the PSL is putting out in terms of the product that they're putting on show and on display, it really looks amazing.
Amazing. No, I mean, I love it. And obviously for me, you're going to see my videos quite a lot. I'm already posting and doing the most. This is the first time I meet you, Basia, and I want to say thank you for inviting us to your space. Thank you for having the interview with me. Thank you for being so polite.
I really
enjoyed this one, and hopefully we have another one at some point.
You at least now you know where I am, so just give a quick shout out and we can do what needs to be done, man. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
It's time for Bet of the Week. Get ready to win big by placing the right bets on the right games.
Bet of the week time, and I tell you this week it's only semi-final action. Copa America and as well as the European Championship, and I've come with some shockers, guys. I hope you guys are ready. The first game being Spain going up against France. I say overall winner is France. Argentina taking on Canada. I've gone over 1.5. I think there'll be 2 goals in that game. Netherlands against England. Overall winner, Netherlands. Yep. That's what I feel. Uruguay going up against Colombia. I've gone with over 1.5 goals and the odds being 7.45. 4 games, 7+ odds. I mean, come on, man. It's quite obvious, right? Click on the link below and join me.
Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za.
Thank you for joining me tonight on another episode, crisp and clean. Now it's time for semi-final action. Don't forget what I said, Spain against France. I think Mbappe is going to do it. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.